This is a double bouncing ball patch. I wanted to take the classic bouncing ball patch where you take an envelope or two envelopes and you have one that is cycling and the other one controls the amplitude and the speed of that cycling. So you get bounce, 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 bounce. You get high amplitude, farther apart pulses. And then as your amplitude decreases, so does the rate of the pulse. And I have two of those set up here. I have the Shockmot Triple Steeple running as a bouncing ball patch, and I have the Sport Modulator 2 running as a bouncing ball patch. I thought that both of these would be a great little exercise to further test what I can do with these modules and sort of put myself and the modules through their paces. Alongside these two bouncing balls, I also have a pulse that is also acting as the clock for the system. That is coming from the multi-filter, actually, which is running as a very slow oscillator. You can see it ticking here. That's running into the wave folder. Classic, give that tick some nice body like my last patch. And then that's going into this very short delay along with everything else, which is acting a little bit more like a reverb, just a small spatial effect. Here it is dry. That's a lovely click for a sort of drum. So let's talk about these bouncing ball patches. I'm going to turn off my clock by just taking the resonance down on the multi-filter so it's no longer oscillating. I'm going to move these around a little bit here just so that I can trigger one of these patches at a time and we can talk about what it's doing. So let's start with the Sport Modulator 2 because that's already running through the envelope detector here. So we'll look at the lights here to see what's going on the Sport Modulator 2. You can see the top channel is cycling quite quickly, and the bottom channel is not cycling at all. It's receiving a gate, in this case, the pulse from here, and it's slowing that down into a long rise and fall envelope. Except it's all fall because we're changing the shape of the Sport Modulator 2 by self-patching the end output into the CV1 modifier here. This means that it rises very quickly because during the rising state, the end is high, which is pushing the rate forward on the Sport Modulator. And then when we enter the fall, the end drops low. It's high all the time except when it's falling, is my understanding of it. And then we're back at our initial rate here. And now the output of the bottom channel is adjusting the rate of the top channel. So as this goes high, this slows down. You can watch the top light here. And speeds back up as the bottom light fades. And both of these are going into a VCA where the bottom channel is effectively gating the top channel. So while this looks like it's going all the time, because it's gated by the VCA here, we're only hearing it on the VCA2 light here when the bottom channel is active. Now, in order to get a more percussive envelope on the top channel, we're doing the same thing of routing the end into one of the CV options, so it rises very quickly and falls more slowly. And that's it. I tried to use the gate inputs in order to do without the VCA, but it was getting a little complicated for me, and I felt that it was much easier to just bring the VCA in order to have the bottom channel gate the top channel that way. I should note with both the envelopes that we're hearing, the sound is just one of the oscillators each on the Benjamin V2. And depending on how I was playing around with it, there was a bit of cross modulation or envelope change from the Rungler. But what we're hearing is a triangle wave in each case. So let's listen to, oh, it's buried in there a little bit. Come on out. Let's grab a longer cable real quick. Let's look at the same thing on the Triple Steeple, how we're doing a bouncing ball patch there. Now, in this case, the top envelope here is acting like the bottom on the Sport Modulator. It is controlling the overall arc of the bouncing ball. The second envelope here is cycling for the individual bounces. Now, what's cool with the Sport Modulator too is that one of the modes here with the two orange lights on is a gated cycle where the envelope runs while it is receiving a gate input. Given the normalizations on the Triple Steeple, when there's nothing plugged into the gate for envelope 2, it's taking its gate from envelope 1, more or less. You can see here this pink wire is connecting the first envelope to the time of the second, which is changing the time of those cycles. And the stack cable underneath it is going into this CV input on the Triple Steeple, which can be configured for each channel. We have it set up to control the amplitude of envelope 2, which is doing the same thing that our VCA is doing here. So the top envelope is with these two cables controlling both the time and the amplitude of our output. This makes something like a bouncing ball patch really easy on the Triple Steeple. It's a really cool envelope generator. And so it works great just all by itself. I've linked some videos that I found really interesting about the bouncing ball in the description to this video, in case you want to hear more about the bouncing ball patch as a prototypical patch for a modular system like this.